Ever heard of the legendary Spartan warriors? Tough, fearless, the elite of ancient Greece. But their constant wars came with a heavy price. Imagine this. After decades of brutal fighting, Sparta faced a crisis. Their number of citizen soldiers was dangerously low. How could they possibly maintain their army and their entire society? The solution they came up with was shocking, even for the Spartans. They ordered a group of men from their enslaved population, the helots, to perform a very specific duty. These men, called the epunacti, were sent to the homes of Spartan widows who had lost their husbands in battle. Their task, to father children with these women. It sounds unbelievable, but for the Spartans, the state came before everything, before personal feelings, before tradition. The children born from these unions were raised as full Spartan citizens, destined to become the next generation of warriors. It was a desperate, ruthless measure to ensure Sparta's survival. Ever heard of the Spartans? Of course, you have. Legends of ancient Greece, creators of the most feared warriors the world had ever seen. Leonidas and his 300 at Thermopylae became a symbol of courage against impossible odds. From the moment they were born, Spartan boys were forged in the fires of the Agoge, a brutal training system designed to strip away weakness and create perfect soldiers. Their lives were dedicated to one thing and one thing only, the state. This singular focus made them an unstoppable force on the battlefield. But this strength, this obsession with military perfection, came with a hidden and, frankly, devastating cost. A cost that would push the Spartan state to the very brink and lead them to commit an act so shocking, so contrary to our modern values, that has been whispered about by historians for centuries. Sparta was a state built for war. Their entire society, their economy, their very identity was intertwined with conflict. For centuries, they were locked in a series of brutal wars against their neighbors, the Messenians. These weren't quick, decisive battles. They were long, grinding campaigns that spanned generations. Wave after wave of Spartan warriors marched off to fight, and while they were often victorious, the victories were costly. The Spartan phalanx, their signature military formation, was a meat grinder. In battle after battle, the best and bravest of Sparta fell. Each fallen soldier wasn't just a personal tragedy for a family, it was a blow to the state itself. Spartan citizenship was exclusive, a birthright for those born of two Spartan parents. With every warrior lost, the pool of true Spartan citizens shrank. Imagine the scene, a city of widows and orphans. The constant warfare created a demographic crisis. There were simply not enough Spartan men left to father the next generation of warriors. The state, which was everything to the Spartans, was literally dying out. The field still needed to be worked, the city needed to be run, and most importantly, the army needed fresh recruits. Without a steady supply of new soldiers, Sparta's dominance would crumble, leaving them vulnerable to their many enemies. The ruling council, the Gerousia, faced an unthinkable dilemma: watch their glorious state wither away or take drastic, unprecedented action. For a society that valued purity of bloodline and rigid social order above all else, the solution they devised was nothing short of revolutionary and, to many, deeply disturbing. This solution involved a group of people at the absolute bottom of Spartan society, the helots. The helots were not slaves in the traditional sense. They were a class of state-owned serfs, tied to the land they worked. They were the original inhabitants of the land Sparta had conquered, particularly Messenia. They outnumbered the Spartans by a massive margin, perhaps as much as 10 to 1. And were a constant source of fear and paranoia for the ruling class. The Spartans oppressed them ruthlessly, even declaring war on them annually as a form of population control and to blood young warriors. The helots were seen as subhuman, a tool to be used and discarded for the benefit of the state. It was from this despised and subjugated population that Sparta would find its shocking salvation. The plan was as cold and pragmatic as the Spartans themselves. It was an official state policy, a decree from the highest levels of power. Selected helot men, likely the strongest and healthiest among them, were given a grim and extraordinary duty. These men were known as the epunacti. Their task? They were ordered to go to the homes of Spartan widows, women who had lost their husbands in the endless wars.